Welcome to Guthli Talks presented by Miles SoBA, your backstage pass to the creative circus of branding and advertising. How cutthroat is the advertising industry?
It is a competitive space, I'll say that.
Why do you think the advertising industry is not advertised enough?
I think it is a matter of it being advertised in a stereotypical manner.
Right.
Because we are the people that are enabling other people.
Do you think the Guthli Adfest 2024, be a starting point to this?
Certainly going to help. Any kind of enterprise that helps more people learn about the industry, deliver new talent to the industry,
Right.
I think is a great thing to have.
If I want to become a group creative director, what should I do?
I think the first thing that you need to do is have patience.
Welcome to Guthli Talks presented by Miles SoBA, your backstage pass to the creative circus of branding and advertising. I am Preethy Rajaram, your host for today's episode. Today, we're in the presence of a man who's practically got a trophy room for his office. Meet Vilsen Gonsalves, the Group Creative Director at Ogilvy India and a walking awards magnet with Cannes, One Show, Clio, Effies, you name it, he's won it. Oh, and did we mention he snagged India's first ever D&AD Yellow Pencil Award? Welcome, sir. Thank you so much. I hope I pronounced all those awards right because they're like N number of awards, so I hope I pronounced it
I
correct.
think you did a good job.
Super. Thank you so much, sir. Okay. So, I'll get in my first question. So, how cutthroat is the advertising industry? For a fresher just out of college, what should he or she brace for?
I wouldn't use the term cutthroat because we are in the business of ideas, and ideas can be a very fun, positive thing because ideas have the potential to change the direction of a journey, and to be able to be the person who can think of something like that and be able to execute it in the way that you would like. I think it's a very positive thing. So while it is a competitive space, I'll say that it is a competitive space. There are multiple people trying to prove themselves on an everyday basis. I think it's a good kind of competition that only pushes the industry ahead, the space ahead, people ahead, because there's a lot of inspiration also that you derive from competition. While when you see somebody else doing something, thinking of something really amazing, it tends to inspire you to
Right.
push yourself and to
Right.
think of something even better
Right.
or as good as that. So I think I'll go with the word competitive
Okay.
and not cutthroat.
Super, sir. Fantastic. So talking about competition, you said advertising is competitive, maybe not cutthroat, but competitive, right? How was it in your initial days? Like, was it as competitive as it is today or not? I mean, of course not, but how was it for you or your Guthli days? Can you take me through that?
So I think it was as competitive. I think it was, and see, with there is an evolution that keeps happening with the times. The forms of media that are there,
Right.
that were there back then and that are there now. Obviously, that has evolved a lot. So the kind of knowledge you need to have and the application that you need to put in to be able to deliver ideas on those fronts. Earlier back then it was largely TV, print, radio, and the occasional ambient idea. Today we've moved, tech has taken a lot more center stage,
Right.
and there are so many different medias that an ad person or a creative, thinker needs to be able to understand and then participate in that medium, obviously, because that would only help you be able to generate ideas in that space. So the media landscape has changed, which has led to a lot more application needed from people entering the industry. But in terms of the core of it all, which is an idea, I think that that stays the same. The kind of thinking that would get somebody to say wow. I think that's the ultimate thing that all of us are trying to achieve. with each campaign that we try and put out there, or each ad also, or even a small message that goes from a client to a dealer or something like that. That's the ultimate thing that we're trying to do, is get them to kind of take notice, and hopefully understand what the client is saying. Not hopefully, understand what the client is trying to convey, and then also not just understand but also be delighted a little with it, so that they remember it a little longer than they would an ordinary poster, flyer, or a message. So I think that evolution has happened, but I think pretty much the core of it stays the same, which is great ideation and great execution.
Right, sir. So I have a question where, as in, why do you think, if I'm putting this in the right way, the advertising industry is not advertised enough in our country? As in, for example, if I have to take a personal example, my own experience, I did not know a lot about jobs in advertising, or you can actually make a solid career in advertising. All I knew was, okay, if it's business, then okay, maybe a CA, like a commerce side or that kind of a thing. So coming back to the point, why is advertising, the industry, not advertised enough? Or is it a wrong perception?
So I don't know if it is a matter of it not being advertised enough. I think it is a matter of it being advertised in a stereotypical manner, whenever it is.
Okay.
And the second thing is that I think there is reason also why it stays in the shadows. Because we are the people that are enabling other people or other businesses. As an industry, we enable clients to be able to sell their products. We enable clients to get their messages out there. We enable clients to advertise their services out there. So while we do play an important role in the larger ecosphere, I think that could be a reason why we are not advertised enough. In terms of the other point, which is how do we get people to notice our efforts, because that is actually a small grouse that a lot of ad people have, is that everybody else, and it comes down to also the economic side of things. When you're not advertised enough, sometimes you don't get the due value that you deliver. So that is another a thing that's echoed sometimes in advertising rooms, is that everybody else makes more money than advertising people. There are those some things that need to obviously evolve and get better with time, and I think it will happen, because as we are moving forward into an age where marketing is playing a very important role, with social media, with influencers, with content strategies being drawn up, I think marketing is coming center stage. And I think going forward there will be a lot more emphasis given to the industry, how it obviously evolves with the coming of AI and different products that will change again our essence and our being, and how we kind of coexist with these new solutions. I think advertising is going to take a greater center stage going forward.
Right, sir. So, and do you think the Guthli Adfest 2024 would probably be a starting point to this, for at least promoting advertising as an industry to young individuals in the country?
So it's certainly going to help, because any kind of enterprise that helps more people learn about the industry and kind of deliver new talent to the industry, I think is a great thing to have around. In fact, that is something we actually need more of, because while more people are finding out about advertising, we need the right kind of people to find out about advertising and choose it as a career. So that I think will definitely be helped by initiatives like this. So kudos to that.
Awesome, sir. So speaking of Guthli Adfest, you are on the panel for the radio category, right? For Guthli Adfest. What is that one X factor that you're looking for in an entry that you think would blow your mind?
So I think it's originality, because I think with any medium, it ultimately boils down to that. It boils down to how original your idea is. Because of that, that's the only way that you will be able to stand out from the 100 other ideas out there, the 100 other ads that we are reviewing in the room. And for the consumer also, when like say for example we are judging radio,
Right.
there are going to be 100 other spots that a person is listening to in a day, and with there's lots of
Correct.
other things that are happening around. So how do you get that person's attention? It comes down to how novel your pitch is, how novel your device is, or those kind of plays that you need to do in radio sometimes. So I think it'll come down to originality.
Okay.
And I think it'll come down to originality.
Super. Sir.
Mainly.
Okay. And speaking of radio ads, how essential is a song or a voice in a radio ad? And I have heard people say that, to just choose a voice for an ad, they go through hundreds of auditions, right? So how essential is that? Because you have like less than 30 seconds, or even I'd say 5 seconds to catch someone's attention when they're driving in a car, right? Or that's what I think of someone, listening to a radio ad as.
So you just answered your own question actually.
Okay.
You get a very finite amount of time in which you have to kind of be able to penetrate, the person's
Right.
defenses, and then appeal to what he's thinking already of or hasn't thought of, and you want him to start thinking that. So you get a very small window into that, and then you have also a lot of distractions around
Correct.
the person. So talent, voice talent and production talent who can deliver that exact idea that you have as a writer or a creator is very important.
Right. So does it make sense to, sometimes you just find a voice and you think, okay, that's the voice. But sometimes you go through like hundreds of auditions and all of that and you still don't find. So what should you,
So
how do you, that mind space?
I got what I was thinking earlier. So there was one more point I wanted to add is that sometimes we do spend a lot of time finding that ideal voice. And once you found that ideal voice also, it's also a matter of whether that voice is able to deliver in the tone that you want, in the mood that you want, with the sort of spacing that you want. Sometimes that also matters, when it comes to the craft of creating a radio spot.
100%.
So you can speak to a voiceover artist and he will have innumerable number of stories, a large number of stories where he'll tell you about how that one writer made me sit in a booth for 4 hours and say the same thing over and over in different ways, and they couldn't see the difference. But the thing is, the writer, with whatever he had in mind, has a reason for, going so doggedly behind that one delivery, that one take, and finally, hopefully that works for the client. And so the reason why there is this amount of detailing that goes is because I believe that advertising beyond beyond an exercise, it's also a sort of a form of art. You are creating something at the end of the day.
Right.
So it does bring joy to the creators, like the people who are thinking and writing these spots. It does bring a certain element of joy to be able to deliver that one voice in that one way that the person had imagined.
Right.
It is also the pursuit of that little joy.
Super, so awesome. So now, speaking of Ogilvy is that one agency all of us, probably dream of either joining, I mean becoming an employee, or I don't know, we just look up to it as advertising.
No, it is a dream, like you said.
It's a dream.
It was a dream for
kids.
me also to someday be here. So I do agree that it is.
Leave advertising graduates, even ad geeks, they're like Ogilvy, right? So how is it being, if I may get this right, the group creative director? So how would you describe your job role, and what is a day like at Ogilvy for you?
So there are multiple group creative directors at Ogilvy, and all are bloody damn good. So to be able to stand out, it's not just having to stand out when you put a piece of advertising out in the market.
Right.
It's also within your peers.
Okay.
And I think that is what drives everyone at Ogilvy to be better than, the person sitting next to you. And I think it's that drive that basically makes you better, or want to be better at least. Let me be a little so I think it's that really drives you to be better than the person next to you, and then accordingly, hopefully better than most other people out there, so that your work stands out.
Okay, sir. So if I want to become, if I may be ambitious enough, if I want to become a group creative director, what should I do? That is one, to get there. And after I get there, what am I doing? Like, what do I do?
So I think when you want to have a goal like that, I think the first thing that you need to do is have patience.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming that you have everything else. I'm assuming you have the ideas. I'm assuming you have the application. I'm assuming you have the enthusiasm to go at it each day, at it with the same kind of vigor and, imagination that will basically lend your ideas in the right place at the right time. But the thing is that, and younger people entering the industry need to understand that, is that while you could be a genius and you could have really great ideas, it is like an art form which gets honed over time. You get better at it, you get better at your craft with time. So I think patience plays a very big role in being a good senior, who is also delivering on work as well as managing things in the right sense for the team, because you're interested with teams and you have to deliver on that front also. So I think patience is something, besides the obvious things that you need,
skills that you need, right?
Patience and kind of staying the course, because a lot of people over time get disillusioned, because it's a creative process. There are lots of frustrations that are part of your everyday.
Right, sir.
So it is important to kind of believe and be patient and work at it.
Awesome, sir. So jingles, there are like a lot of jingles that have the iconic jingles, right, that we all remember. But nowadays, there aren't many jingles as such that are like super iconic. Why is that?
So I have a meaning. It's not my theory on that, but it's, I think, reality of our times again, is that most of the jingles that you remember are from an era when there was very little advertising.
Okay, correct.
There was very little content, to be honest. There was not that much that was cluttering our TV screens, our mobile phones, and that's why, there were a lot of good jingles back then. I'm not saying that the jingles were not as good enough, but there was a lot less clutter. So what happened was, naturally, when you hear something over and over again, like say 15 times a day, it does kind of, get embedded. And it's the same thing, not just with advertising, it's the same thing with the music of, the older years versus the music of today.
Okay.
A track that you hear today will be top of mind for say maybe a week, 2 weeks,
Okay.
and then it's gone.
Right.
But the songs from your childhood or even your parents' days, which is the case with me, I still tend to remember them. I still tend to remember the lyrics in as much detail. And I think that's just a matter of the amount of content that was there, back then, and the amount of content that we are processing through our minds on a day-to-day basis now.
Right, sir. But even though that's the case, ads don't stop selling. Like, ads still run, right? Because there's still a lot of ads for us to, skip. There are so many ads out there, but people still make ads, and there's still iconic ads nowadays, right? But jingles, it's not that way, is it? Because
no, so I think there are waves that come and go.
Okay.
Like trends, there are trends that come and go. I think it works the same. There is a certain flavor that everybody tends to like, and then a lot of people tend to copy for a certain period of time and try and ride that wave till people find it not interesting anymore, and they move on to the next thing. So I think there is a lot of cyclical kind of behavior that we spot even in advertising, that there will come a trend of doing jingle based ads, and then that will be the norm. Then will come as a phase of, say, animated ads, and that will, ride its wave. So there are these things, but I don't think there is any such thing as, oh, it's outdated, it's gone, it's never coming back.
Right.
I don't think that can exist, in the world for anything, because it depends on the need of the hour.
Correct.
And basis that, these trends like, jingle based ads, they can definitely make a comeback, especially with where the world is going. Music and video is going to be taking a lot of our mind space.
Right.
So I don't see how we can say that, jingle based ads, they are a thing of the past.
Fair enough, sir. Okay. So now, ads, ad films are not the only things under advertising, right? There are so many other touch points. There's it's not just social media, because a lot of us tend to associate social media with advertising. Like whenever someone's, at least like freshies like us, right? So can you go deeper into all the advertising touch points and, how can you get into someone's brain?
I feel advertising for products and services is one aspect of this question.
Right.
Advertising for issues and agendas is another subset of this question, and we are seeing perceptions being monitored, manufactured.
Can we say, sorry to interrupt you, sir, but can we say advertising for a person can also fall into this category?
With the age that we are moving into, it definitely is
Right.
a thing, and we've seen it with, with use cases like politics and, the age of entrepreneurs and basically building your own brand.
Right.
That whole conversation of building your own brand is again an example of advertising going beyond the regular definition of, these four medias, they play these roles and they can deliver this message. I think we are way past that. I think every influencer out there is a brand in themselves.
Right.
How they think and how they want their followers to think is advertising.
Right.
And that's also being used very well by clients and, by companies across the world. So,
Right, sir. Okay, sir. So coming to brands, right? Now, sonic branding is something that is super prominent. For example, Netflix to Doom, right? It's like all over the place, and that's naturally something that you remember. Netflix to Doom, Paytm's, the soundbox, all of that. So how and why is that working very well nowadays?
So, I think it works on the repetition as well as the audiophonic nature of that whatever piece that's there. I think if you had to hear the Paytm thing just once, it will, like I said, there's a lot of distractions around. You'll hear it, you'll say, nice, and you'll move on.
Correct.
So I think the repetitive nature of audio branded experience is also very important. So when you want to kind of build an audio signature, you need to take that into account. You need to see, how many times will my consumer base kind of interact with that, and basis that, you need to basically craft that. Also, it depends a lot on what is the tonality of your brand, what is the feel of your brand, and to be able to kind of deliver something that, goes with the feel of your client's brand is another important aspect, because that is going to live with them and they are going to have to live with it. So it's very important that, you get that fit very correct.
So it can go haywire also, right? Like if you make up something very bad, it can do damage, like a lot of damage to the brand too, right? Or
it can,
people
obviously
forget it.
I don't, meaning if it's as repetitive as a sonic branding piece needs to be, it can be pretty damaging.
So, but if you look at it from another perspective, even though it doesn't work, even though it's like a bad thing, people are talking bad about it, like the Sonic logo or something like that, it still works for the brand in a way, right? Because people are talking about it.
No, but people could be saying good things about your brand if you had done a good piece.
Fair enough.
So wouldn't you want to be remembered for something good?
Fair enough.
See, I feel the opportunity is there. The opportunity is the same. If you could make a good dish and make somebody feel nice about it, if you could touch their heart with a dish, or if you could leave them with a bad taste in their mouth and probably an upset stomach.
Right.
They'll remember both.
Right, sir.
What do you want?
Correct. So how was the feeling like when you won India's first ever D&AD Yellow Pencil Award?
So it was unexpected because so this was for a big bubble. There was this brand from Perfetti that we were used to work on at McCann.
Okay.
And we had, this really interesting campaign that me and my art director back then, Nikhil Varadkar, had thought of. And when we shared it with the client, and it kind of had everybody really excited in the agency. And I think with that piece, the simplicity of the idea, I hope you've seen it. If you've seen it, you'll see that it was a very simple idea of how a big bubble chewing gum can let you blow big bubbles.
Right.
And my art director did a really fabulous job, with kind of bringing that piece to life with fruits, because it was fruit flavored gum. So I remember that moment when we were sitting, and the prints came from the printer. The first life-size prints came, and we looked at it, and we were just, damn happy with the outcome.
Okay.
And we were just happy that we did that piece.
Okay.
Because there were a lot of people who had suggestions, try this, try that. And we were very steadfast that no, this is the piece, and this is how it will look, and this is how it will be. So when that piece happened with, it went to the client, approval, this, that, the whole process, working with illustrators and all of that. When the piece happened, we were just happy that, we managed to put that piece together and it's going, places. So that was the first happiness. Okay. And I think that's the first, that should be the primary happiness with anything that you do in advertising, is when you create something, it should make you happy. Beyond that, when you send it out into the world and whatever it manages, doesn't manage, that is secondary. That is not in your control.
Right.
Whether it goes out and wows the audiences, whether it wins an award, that is all secondary. Correct. So the first joy is that, oh shit, oh damn, I created this. So that joy was there. Then the second joy came when we heard that it is really creating waves at the D&AD festival. And it was featured, in their blogs also very, very prominently. So we got a sense that it's going to do something, interesting at the festival. And I remember that morning when I woke up and my art director, Nikhil, called me and said, we won. We won India's first yellow pencil. And I mean, there are no words, obviously. You can't put that feeling into words, but it felt nice to be a notch above everyone else just for that moment. Yeah. Just for that moment. Because another thing about awards is you should live it in the moment and then forget it, because because it's just a thing saying that you were good. It's not a thing saying you are good.
Very well said.
So that, I think, with every piece of work, it's another day, it's another struggle, it's another. So I've always told myself that okay, we were good, so that was nice. It was good to be recognized by everyone for it, and let's go at it again another day.
Thank you so much for joining us at Guthli Talks, presented by Miles SoBA, sir. And it was a pleasure talking to you, and hope you also had some fun.
I did.
Super. We got a lot of things to take away from this. So thank you so much, sir. Before we sign off, if you weren't aware already, Guthli Adfest 2024, India's first Adfest solely dedicated to students, is coming your way on the 19th and the 20th of October. This is your chance to unleash your creativity, make your mark, and start young in the world of advertising. We also have a category solely dedicated to radio. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Register now through the link in the description below and be a part of a fest that's all about nurturing the next generation of creative geniuses. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your fellow creatives. Stay tuned for more insights, more inspiration, and more behind the scenes magic in the world of branding and advertising. And always remember, every journey starts with a Guthli.